Why do some people learn Russian in 6 months while others struggle for years? It comes down to four powerful habits. I have watched this happen with hundreds of my own students, and most of them had already tried the usual stuff like apps, textbooks, YouTube videos, and after all these years teaching Russian, I can tell you exactly why most people fail and exactly what the ones who succeed do differently. It's not about talent, it's not about time, it's about four specific things. And after this video, you will be able to start applying them today. So let me show you. Before I get into the habits, I want to say something important. The students who failed, the ones who gave up after a few months, were often the most motivated at the beginning. They were excited. They were committed. They were buying textbooks. They were downloading apps. But motivation without the right method just means to burn out faster. What I'm going to share with you isn't my personal opinion. It's what I observed directly across hundreds of real learners. The ones who made it to conversational Russian, some in as little as 6 months, all had these four things in common. So let's see. So let's take a look at the first habit. The first habit is called comprehensible input. And this one sounds simple, but most people get it wrong in one or two directions. They either consume content that is way too easy, like basic beginner phrases they already know, or they throw themselves into some native level content and they understand almost nothing. Neither of those works. The sweet spot is content that is slightly above your level, enough that you are being challenged, not so much that your brain shuts down. So, where do you find that? There's a few options. YouTube is a great starting point. Search for Russian vlogs or podcasts aimed for learners. You don't need to understand every single word. The goal is to be in that comfortable but followable zone. If you are a TV person, Netflix is actually really useful here. Take a series you already know, something that you have watched before in English, let's say, switch to Russian and put on Russian subtitles or English subtitles if Russian feels like too much at first. The fact that you already know the story removes one layer of cognitive load so your brain can focus on the language. There is also a platform called LINGOPIE, which is built specifically for this. You watch real Russian shows and movies with interactive subtitles. They offer a free week if you want to try it. A link will be in the description. The key word here is consistency. This isn't a one-time thing. The students who succeed are consuming Russian content regularly, not cramming once in a week. By the way, I have gathered all pieces of advice from this video in a PDF, as well as some other useful tips and useful resources which you can download for free following the link in the description. Okay, time for the second habit. The second habit is one most people skip entirely, and it's probably the most important one. It's active output. There is a big difference between watching Russian content and working with Russian content. Most learners stay in passive mode. They watch, they listen, they rewatch, and they wonder why nothing sticks. The students who succeed do something different. After consuming content, they reproduce it, they shadow it, they retell it out loud in their own words. They force their brain to actually pronounce it in a language, not just to recognize it. Let me give you a concrete example. You watch 2 minutes of a Russian vlog, you pause, and out loud, not in your head, out loud, you retell what a person just said in your own words, even badly, even with mistakes, even if you only catch 30% which was said, That 30% that you produce with your own mouth, with your own words, will stick better than 2 months of passive consuming of content. The same thing with shadowing. Take a 30-second clip, play it, repeat at the same time as the speaker, not after, at the same time. It feels weird at first, yes. That's exactly the point. You're forcing your mouth and your brain to do something new. That's where fluency is built. You can find shadowing exercises on YouTube specifically designed for Russian learners. And honestly, if enough of you want it, leave a comment below and I will create dedicated content especially for shadowing for this channel. But the core principle is this: every time you consume something in Russian, do something with it. Out loud, in real time, even badly. Active reconstruction is what builds real fluency. Now let's talk about the third habit. Grammar is a foundation, not a cage. Some learners avoid grammar completely. They think immersion alone is enough, that they will just pick it up, but they don't. Russian grammar is complex, and without foundation and structured lessons, you will hit a wall inevitably. But the other failure mode is the opposite: getting completely absorbed in grammar rules, cases, conjugations, declensions, and never actually using the language nor practicing it. And here, grammar becomes a procrastination tool. The students who succeed treat grammar as a reference, not a main curriculum. They learn the core structure, they keep a resource nearby, a textbook or a grammar guide or a good course. When they hit something they don't understand, they look it up. But grammar is not the main event. Real content is the main event. And this applies to all technical parts of Russian, like cases, verb aspects, conjugation patterns, and so on. Learn enough to function, then use real content to internalize it. Come back to the rules when you need them. And the final habit: minimum contact. This is the simplest one, but it's what separates the people who get fluent from the people who quit, basically. Never skip a full day, not long study sessions, not 2-hour marathons on the weekend, just never let a full day without touching Russian. I have seen students who study for 3 hours on Saturday and they do nothing for the rest of the week. And I've seen students who do 10 minutes every single day. And I will tell you, the second group makes dramatically more progress every single time. Your daily minimum doesn't have to be intensive. It can be watching one short video in Russian, 5 minutes of shadowing, reviewing a grammar point, anything. The contact is what matters, and here's something that nobody tells beginners. After a few weeks of doing this, you're going to start noticing all your gaps. The cases will feel confusing, the verbs of motion won't make sense, you will feel like you're somehow getting only worse but not better, but that's actually the best sign you can get. You're noticing those gaps because your level is rising. A complete beginner doesn't even know cases exist. And the fact that they are now bothering you means your brain has moved up a stage. Out of every 10 people who start learning Russian, only about 2 ever reach a conversational level. And this is exactly the moment where the other 8 quit. It's also exactly the moment where staying consistent, even just 10 minutes a day, pushes you to the next level. The wall isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign you're almost through. And once you have built a basic foundation, once you can hold a simple conversation, find a conversation partner, someone to actually speak Russian with. And you don't need Russian friends or family. There are online communities specifically for language exchange. Start using the language with a real person as soon as possible. It accelerates everything. The trick is the strategy. So, those are the 4 habits: comprehensible input, active output, grammar as a foundation, and daily minimum contact. None of them are extraordinary. None of them require specific talent or 3 hours a day. What they require is consistency and the right method. So here's the question I want you to sit with after this video. Which of these four habits are you currently skipping? Because that's the one to fix first. If you found this useful, subscribe. I share practical Russian lessons and learning strategies every single week. And if you want to go deeper, I will link my full beginner course in the description below. See you in the next video. Пока-пока.